Hi, this is Pastor Julie Osterhout from Trinity Lutheran Church in Wernersville, Pennsylvania. It's Christmas Eve, and our readings tonight are Isaiah 9, 2 through 7, Psalm 96, Titus 2, 11 through 3, verse 1, and Luke chapter 2, 1 through 20. Please read those before listening to this message. So what kind of Christmas are you having this year? I remember the Christmas I had the chicken pox. I was in the 3rd grade. At the time, I thought it was going to be the worst Christmas ever. Well, it wasn't great, but by Christmas Day was okay. Maybe a little itchy. I had a few scabs all over, but I was okay. And I opened my presents, and Grandma and Grandpa still came for Christmas dinner. I also remember the Christmas my mom had the flu. That Christmas was worse than the chickenpox Christmas because when Mom was sick, everybody suffers. I just remember her lying on the couch, and I know she felt awful. But how about this Christmas? In the years to come, how will you rate this Christmas? One of the worst, one of the most difficult, loneliest, one of the best. For me, I would rate this Christmas okay and not okay. Both empty and full. It feels a little empty because some things are missing. 4 of our 6 children will not be coming for Christmas dinner, but 2 will be here along with their kids. A few weeks ago, as Bruce and I were sick with the corona, I couldn't imagine feeling well enough to decorate, shop, and bake cookies, much less cook a big Christmas dinner. But we did manage to do all the usual Christmas things, and we will cook dinner on tomorrow afternoon. It's hard to believe a whole year has passed since we celebrated last Christmas. As Bruce and I brought down boxes of decorations from the attic, I kept thinking to myself, didn't we just put this all away? I realized there is some truth to that. The last big holiday we celebrated was Christmas 2019. Lent, Easter, Memorial Day, the 4th of July, vacations, Vacation Bible School, and all the activities that fill a year never really happened in 2020. Even my Thanksgiving this year went down the coronavirus tubes. I suppose that's why Christmas feels a little empty. This year's events just haven't happened as they should. But this Christmas also feels full. In fact, Christmas always does. I mean, though I may have my ups and downs, God does not. Advent approached me this year with a clarity and strength like never before. As a time of waiting, Advent never felt stronger. This year, we've all become really good at waiting. Waiting for things to change, waiting for a vaccine, waiting for lockdowns to be over, waiting for worship to return to normal, waiting for the moment when family and friends can embrace each other fully and without concern. We are reminded by John the Baptizer that we are in a wilderness of waiting, waiting for the one who will shine a light to show us the way out. And so we prepare ourselves for the bearer of that light, Jesus Christ. Tonight, we once again tell the story of the child who was born over 2,000 years ago. We know the story well. Mary and Joseph are required to travel to the town of Joseph's birth in order to be counted in the census. The census like the one we were counted in just this year. Mary, 9 months pregnant, rides a donkey, while Joseph leads the way from Nazareth to Bethlehem, a distance of maybe 90 miles. Considering Mary's condition, it most likely took them 10 or more days to get to Joseph's hometown. The road was dirty, bumpy, rough, and there were dangers along the way, wild animals and bandits. The name Bethlehem is Hebrew for house of bread, a fitting name for the birth of one who would be called the bread of life. It was a small town, and because of the requirements of the census, was overcrowded, with generations of people returning there to be counted. Many would have stayed with family and friends. There were some inns, and Mary and Joseph may well have stayed with family as there was no room in the inn. You see, in many first century Jewish homes, the family lived on the second floor while the animals sheltered on the first floor. It makes sense that even though Mary and Joseph may have been staying with family, the living quarters were so full that the only place available to them was downstairs with the livestock. Were there other people in the stable with them? Possibly. Were there other women there who aided Mary in the birthing process? Possibly. There's a lot we don't know. What we do know is that as far as birthing facilities go, it was pretty lousy. And if we were to rate this first Christmas, well, I suppose the very first Christmas could be rated as one of the worst ever. Filthy after a long journey, no place to stay except in the barn, giving birth amid smelly manure and the slobbering, cud-chewing curiosity of the goats and cows, Mary and Joseph must have collapsed with exhaustion. Even their attempt at sleep was probably interrupted by the loud voices and singing of late-night revelers alongside the screams and curses of drunken partiers. Mary and Joseph were not only trying to rest, they were waiting to learn where they should report for counting, waiting to hear when it would be okay to travel the 90 miles back to Nazareth with their newborn. Imagine having to travel by foot along a treacherous road while trying to nurse your baby and recover from childbirth. But then, even as Mary and Joseph lie on the dirt floor of the barn, aching for a moment of sleep, some bedraggled shepherds, the lowliest of the lowest, shuffle into the barn. They too are dirty and smelly like the sheep they herd. They explain why they have come. A heavenly chorus appeared to them in the night sky and compelled them to come and see the baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger. Mary and Joseph exchange a look that says they're getting used to these angelic encounters. Mary folds away the edge of the cloth that covers the baby's face and allows the shepherds, shy and hesitant, to glimpse that puffy-eyed, bruised face of baby Jesus. The hungry infant wriggles slightly and wrinkles his red face, ready to cry. Mary quickly offers her a pinky for him to suckle. After the shepherds leave, I imagine Joseph sitting there with eyes closed, just shaking his lowered head, wondering if things could get much worse. Opening his eyes, he finds Mary clutching baby to her breast and listens to the soft sucking sound of newborn life. What will become of them? What will it mean to be father to this child who came into this world in unworldly ways? This is the Christmas story we long to hear each year. Tonight, regardless of what kind of Christmas you are having, we still tell this same story. The one that tells us that all our waiting was worth it. It is the story that reminds us that Jesus always enters this world in its lowest, dirtiest, worst moments, so as to be the light that shows us the way through the darkest wilderness. Maybe your wilderness is pretty deep right now, and this is the worst Christmas of your life, and it feels empty and void of what should instead be filled with the Christmas spirit. I know some of you are experiencing your first Christmas after the loss of a dear loved one. For Mary and Joseph and the baby Jesus, there was no Christmas spirit. As we think of it, no lit up tree, no holly, no cards, no brightly wrapped gifts under the tree. Instead, the Holy Family was surrounded by poverty, oppression, and questions as they huddled together on the dirt floor of a lonely barn in the house of bread. And one day that baby would grow up to be bread, the bread of life, come to repair the breach, close the gap between us and God, and bring heaven to earth and earth to heaven. Jesus would be God made human, the one who came to live alongside us and would one day take our place in death. Jesus was the one come to save us all from our guilt and brokenness and make us new. It is that hope and promise that makes this Christmas and all Christmases full to overflowing. So maybe this is not the worst Christmas ever. Maybe it is exactly how Christmas should be. as we remember the birth of the Christ child, the one who comes to us at the worst possible time and pulls us out of the darkness and into the light. Amen.